Hello and welcome to Island Brew on Politics Social. SG says, that's lovely, Graham. Thank you. Well, that's very kind of you to say that. Graham Haller saying morning, evening, everyone. Good afternoon, Graham. So it's the morning here. I'm just going to turn my camera the other way around. And I might be upside down for a second. Hang on. It might just correct itself. Correct yourself. It's upside down. Stop being upside down. Oh, for God's sake, this is embarrassing. Come on. You're upside down. Turn around. Oh, I honestly hate. It did just turn around. It did just turn around. And then it turned back. Oh my God, what is even happening right now? One second. Come on. 10. There we go. Oh, you got a shaky camera. There you go. There's your technique. The reason why I want it the other way around is because then my camera is there and it's next to where the words are. So when I'm reading the words, it doesn't look like I'm looking too far off the camera. Gymnastics with Graham Hughes. Yes. Fantastic gymnastics. It is Monday, the 22nd of September, 2025. Well done for making it this far. You are watching Island Brew on Politics Social with me, Graham Hughes, the custodian of the beautiful and eponymous Jinja Island, from whence the Island Brew is emerging. Is eponymous the right word? No, it's not really. It's called Island, I guess. Now in Australia, you're in Australia. Another trip. I'm going to take my hat back. Take my hat back to the hat shop. So, big news headlines today. You might need to help me. There's a NATO meeting going on about the incursion of Russian jets into Estonia. There is also there was a Ukrainian drone attack last night, which took out 3 seaplanes, like not planes shaped in the letter C, but actually planes that land on the water. Took out 3 Russian seaplanes, which is quite fun. They had this big memorial thing for Charlie Kirk in a football stadium with like tens of thousands of people turned out for it. And it is so obvious that they're trying to, use him to be a martyr as this is what happens when you allow the woke mob to run amok. And it's like, well, he wasn't killed by a woke person. He wasn't killed by someone who advocates for gun control. Quite the opposite. But there you go. So the deification of Charlie Kirk has begun, and we're told now that he's, according to RFK Jr., he's just like Jesus Christ, really, if you think about it. Yeah, if Jesus Christ hated his neighbors, was absolutely abhorrent and would never ever rise to the position of being any kind of messiah, really, because he was just a bit of a gobshite. Israel is talking to Bad Enoch and Farage about the UK's recognition of Palestine. I mean, most people, most countries in the world recognize Palestine. Over 75% of the members of the United Nations recognize Palestine. In fact, there's only 2 countries in the whole of the Americas. Out of 35 countries of the Americas, there's only 2 that do not recognize Panama. Do not recognize Israel. Like the punchline away there. One is America, and the other is Panama. It's here in Panama. And the reason being is that this is still very much just like the Philippines, living with the colonial legacy of the Americans colonizing this place, essentially. Tommy 10 names got deported from Panama. Yes, that was beautiful. Did I watch the Charlie Kirk memorial? No, I had honestly had better things to do. There's some paint that needs to watch dry. R.I. Purgatory. CK. Afternoon badges. Afternoon. So yeah, I can't really see Israel managing to do much damage to all these countries like Australia, France, Portugal, Canada, and the UK, declaring that they are going to recognise Palestine as a state. What are they going to do? If they do create a hassle. I will say this now, right? Israel needs us more than we need Israel. We just do, that's just a fact. Israel is just one of many countries. Although it is one of only a handful of developed, advanced economies in Asia. Did you know that? There's only a handful of advanced economies in Asia. What are the advanced economies of Asia according to the International Monetary Fund? It's Israel, Taiwan, which is not a member of the UN, South Korea, Japan, and Singapore. I think that's it. I think that's it. You know why places like Qatar aren't regarded as advanced economies? Because 90% of their economy is based on selling filthy carbonaceous slime, filthy, toxic, polluting carbonaceous slime, the black stuff, selling that around the world and destroying it in the process. I'm just going to show you this. There's a guy in his dugout canoe, in his kayuku. I don't know if you can see him. He must be really small on the screen. Maybe if you're watching on like a big, fuck off, like widescreen TV, you might be able to see him. He's just paddling away. He's having a great time. He's on his way to the shops. I don't know if you can even see him. It's really small on my screen, but then I'm looking at a phone. Hey. Elle is here and Jenny. Hey, everyone, says Jenny. I just watched the ITV1 doc about Tory COVID corruption. Ooh, I kind of want to watch that. Was it any good? I'd like to remind Badenoch and Farage that neither of them are PM, and therefore the correct way to respond is to point Netanyahu to the Foreign Office. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the other story, wasn't it, about Farage, saying that they're going to stop any of these visas for people who stay here indefinitely. They're going to get rid of the visa of settled status for indefinite leave to remain. I fucking hate Farage, honestly. He's one of the few people I would, well, I say few people, it's more and more each day, but he's one of those people that I would prefer not to be here. Put it that way. That's putting it mildly. Like, I prefer it if he wasn't here. And by that, I mean on this planet. He has said that he's going to stop this. People who have been here for 5 years, and then they get this settled status, and he doesn't want that. So that's going to be all the people who are European citizens, who were left bereft by Brexit, families split up by Nigel Farage. And let's not forget, Nigel Farage's first wife was not British, she was Irish. His second wife was not British, she was German. His bird now is not British, she is French. And this is what that fuckstick Nigel Farage wants. He wants it so, right, one rule for you and one rule for the rest of us. And you need to point this out to these daft motherfuckers, these myopic twat bags who vote for these fucking cowboys. Say, look, he is taking away from your children the ability to marry someone or fall in love with someone from another part of the world, anywhere else, but he won't take it from himself. In the same way that he took your children's right to go and live and work anywhere in Europe, but he did not take that right from his own children. They have German passports. I hate him. I absolutely fucking hate him. I'm going to have such a fucking party. Do you know what? It's going to be just like Charlie Kirk all over again when he pops his clogs in it. It's going to be like, oh, but you can hate his politics, but you can't say you can't celebrate that his passing. And I'm like, I think we can. I think we fucking can. And I think we fucking should. The damage that man has done to our country is off the fucking chart. And I'm not just talking about the £40 billion worth of tax revenue that we do not get anymore because of the lack of trade, because you can't trade as easily with the countries around Europe as we used to when we remember the single market, but also the 100 billion a year that was coming in from that trade, just in general. That's not the taxation from it, that's just the money. And then the billions that was coming in foreign direct investment, which dropped off a cliff after 2016 because of Brexit. And then you've got the assets. No one talks about this. When you talk to a fucking Brexiter, right? When you talk to one of these fucking refuckers, yeah, and they go, oh, Gordon Brown, he sold off all the gold. And I'm like, what? The gold that was maybe, if he had sold it a few years later, worth a few more billion with a B. Oh, okay. Let's talk about the assets that were moved out of the UK as a result of Brexit. You're talking about 1 trillion euros. That's a million. That's enough to give every man, woman and child in the city of Liverpool £2 million each, or €2 million in this case. And that money, those euros, were being held in London. And now they're not. Barclays moved 200 billion with a B euros to Dublin. Other banks and financial institutions, they moved stuff to Frankfurt, to Paris, to Amsterdam, just anywhere but the UK. And Farage did that. And he's still on the political scene, being a gobshite, being a total shitbag. And people still fall for it. They're like, oh no, but Brexit would have been great if it done properly. Which is always going to get my back up, because I'm like, there was no proper way of doing Brexit. Because Brexit was a bad idea from the start. Anyway, but yeah, they made it so it doesn't affect the rich. Of course it doesn't. The privately educated. I'm going to go back to the messages here. There is a new drama coming out based on the phone hacking scandals. Hopefully it'll have a similar effect to the drama around the Horizon scandal and the public demand media reform. That would be excellent if that happened. Thanks for that message, Chris. Haruhai says it's too much of a cognito hazard at the moment on social media. So I've basically retreated to my mobile games and Pokemon. That's fair enough. I stopped playing Pokemon because it got bought by fucking Saudis or something. Wasn't very happy about that. But if you ever come to Jinja Island, this boat dock is a Pokestop. Oh yeah, which I think is particularly cool. I should put that on the brochure for people to come to Jinja Island. Come to the world's most exclusive Pokestop. Farage is just trying to stay relevant. He is. SG says, do you know which channel will be showing that drama and when? I don't. I decided to cheer myself up by watching Charlie Kirk be destroyed by Cambridge University students when he debated with them. Yeah, because this is what Charlie Kirk used to do, right? So he was a 30-year-old man, and he'll go to universities and basically use very, very manipulative and disingenuous debating techniques. And he came an absolute cropper when he went to Cambridge University, because they just saw straight through these techniques that he uses: the straw man argument, the arguments from incredulity, the argument from authority, all these what are they called? Thingy fallacies, aren't they? It's like not logistical. Rhetorical fallacies. I think it's rhetorical fallacies, something like that. It's just ways, it's techniques. You can learn them off the back of a bloody cereal packet. It's not hard to get your head around. And so he would go to these universities that weren't particularly great universities. I don't know if he ever went to like Harvard or Yale or one of them, Brown or something. He seemed to go to these like little universities in buttfuck nowhere and debate against kids, 18-year-olds. And he'll be like, I'm gonna just take the bits of this debate that I won, and I'll put that online, and ignore any times that any of the kids made a really good point and he was flawed by it. I don't think he was that great a debater, because one of the things that you have to do if you are going to be, a debate champion, is you have to be able to argue for things that you don't personally believe in yourself. Whereas for him, this was all stuff that he actually fucking believed, that people who were of a different race were inferior, that women were inferior, that, or, just his whole attitude was just disgusting. He was a disgusting human being, and I do not mourn his passing one little fucking bit. Thank you very much. But yes, Cambridge University will kick 7 shades of shit out of you if you try and go debating there without doing your homework, which you didn't really have to do in America. I've debated at Manchester. I've debated as part of Manchester Debating Society, Manchester University Debating Society, in Cambridge and in Oxford Union, and it's world class stuff. It's very it's very difficult to win. You've got to be very, very well trained and across your brief, like I don't know what. One of the problems I had when I was younger is I just wasn't that interested in the news. I obviously now I do topical news shows every day, so I talk about the news a lot. So I read the news every single day. So when I do like the news quiz at the end of the week on the BBC site, I'm always like 7 out of 7 because I've read all the fucking articles that it's referring to. Whereas when I was sort of 19, 20 years old, I was doing my own stuff. I wasn't really paying that much attention to the news in the same way that I am now. We didn't have the same level of information that we have now. Don't forget, this is before like I think the BBC News website was sort of in its infancy back then. So the only way to get your news really was by watching TV at the time that the news was being broadcast. So if you're doing something else at 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or you're working in the bar or something, you didn't get to see the headlines or read them in the papers, which would be like the next day. So yeah, I think that actually being able to be on top of everything when it comes to debate is a lot easier now than it used to be. But yeah, I don't like it when I'm sort of debating someone and they use like straw man arguments, or they pretend that you've said something that you haven't said, or you know they'll pick on one thing, like one minor thing that you've said, and then go on and on about that instead of the main major thing. And that's what Charlie Kirk did a lot. He did this thing called the what's the expression for it? It's called like Mott and Bailey argument. I don't know if you've heard of this. So the Mott and Bailey, that was like a feudal system. There was like a castle on the top of the hill, and then it was surrounded by the Bailey. I think the Mott was at the top. I'm hoping I'm not getting this the wrong way around. There might be. I don't know. I wasn't there. But yeah, I think the Bailey is the. Oh, it might be the wrong way around. Maybe the Mott is the outside, because that sounds like moat, and then Bailey, the old Bailey, or whatever it is. Let's just say the area around the tower. So that's where the people live, and then if they start getting attacked, they retreat to the tower, right? And what they'll do for a Mott and Bailey argument is they will use a truism, the world is round or something, as their sort of their keep, their castle, and they'll say, well, it's self-evident that this thing is true, and then they'll go a little bit further and they'll say something outrageous, and that'll get pushed back on, something that's not true, something that's deeply sexist, misogynistic, racist, homophobic, transphobic. And then they'll retreat back to the castle, and they'll say, but you said the world was round, so you obviously agree on that. And I'm giving a bad analogy there, because usually it's something more like connected with the arguments than that. But it will start off with a supposition like, here's something that we all agree on, and then they'll use some kind of argument, and if they're challenged in any way, they retreat back to their original stance, and then they try and make out that you're arguing against that when you're not. It's a rhetorical technique, it's a debating technique that's really, really see-through if you know to look for it. Maybe it's see-through if you don't know how to look for it. You might notice it yourself. Stop sitting on the fence, Graham. I'm sitting on a hammock. That's why I keep swaying around. I don't at the moment, find out shortly. Have you missed all the Python-esque My Party shit show? Asked David Peacock. No, we're on top of that, especially in our WhatsApp groups. We're like, oh my God. We were talking about it on the Saturday Night Social this week, because it's maddening. It's honestly maddening that they can't even get that right. They can't. Oh, we got a super chat. Woo! SG, thank you very much, SG. SG being very generous again. First super chat of the day. Trump, Farage, bad diet, alcohol smoking doesn't kill these old men. Pure hate inside keeps them going. Yeah, I think you're right, SG. Also, the blood of baby unicorns, I think that also helps them keep going. Donald mocks Biden having cancer. He did indeed. Oh yeah, and Charlie Kirk said that Paul Pelosi's attacker, who attacked attempted murderer of Paul Pelosi, someone should pay for their bail, so they should get their bail. One of the interesting things that came out yesterday at the memorial thing was that his widow, Charlie Kirk's widow, was like, I forgive the person who did this. And I'm like, if that had been a black person, if that had been a gay person, that had been a trans person, would they be like, no, I totally forgive this person? It was just because it was a white cracker. That's it. Fucking Republican family, loves their guns. The drama is called The Hack. It's written by the same writer behind Adolescence, and it stars David Tennant and Robert Carlyle, two of my favourite actors. The damage that your country has done to every country has ever come in contact with is immeasurable. Yes, that's true. There you go. You can agree on that. Yeah, I could sit here all fucking day and list you all the countries that we fucked up and how we exactly fucked them up. But you're right. Yeah, we fucked up pretty much everywhere. It's due to be shown on ITV on Wednesday. It will be available on ITVX, says Chris C. ITVX does sound like a porn channel. I'm just dropping in to say hi. Having a very good but very tiring day. Oh, from Gallifreyan. But I'm glad you're having a good day, Gallifreyan Ren. We love you. Kirk used the Gish Gallop technique. Yeah, so that's something else for those who don't know. A Gish Gallop is when you just trot out a load of lies, or one after the other, in very rapid succession, because it only takes a couple of seconds to say a lie, where it takes usually a few minutes to refute a lie. So when someone does a Gish Gallop, it can be very difficult for someone to address everything they've said. And because they can't address that everything in their minute that they're allowed to talk or whatever it is, it's as though like some of those things are true because you didn't challenge them. So that's why Gish Gallops are difficult. If I'm ever confronted with a Gish Gallop, I usually try and take one of the most outrageous things that they've said, and I'll say, you know, that's all a lie. And then I'll concentrate on one thing and say, this is a lie. And the rest of it, just utter bullshit. You just did a Gish Gallop, and point it out to people what a Gish Gallop is. Do you mean he wasn't a master debater? Well, he was a bit of a master debater, wasn't he? Chris C, he isn't portrayed. However, Tennant is playing Nick Davis. Carlisle is playing DSC Dave Cook. Toby Jones is playing Alan Rushbridge. And Steve Pemberton plays Murdoch. Oh, God. Steve Pemberton. Is Steve Pemberton one of the what are they called? The League of Gentlemen fellas. Steve Pemberton, isn't it? I like him. He's funny. He's good. Inside Number 9 was boss. I'm glad my Discord chat made you guys laugh last night. That's Chrissy. Pemberton as Murdoch is hilarious. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm sure Morgan will be in it somewhere. They just haven't released who's playing him. Who do we want? Who do we want to be playing Penis Morgan? Lawrence Fox. No, I'm joking. It's been a bit out due to work. Sorry about that, David. Did Kirk even know how to hold a truth and fact-based debate? No, he didn't. I mean, he knew what he was doing. Like, I'll give him that. He knew what he was doing. He knew exactly how to do it. So in that respect, you know, he did quite well. But the whole thing was duplicitous. Like, he was setting up these straw men, and he thought to himself, what I can do is go around all these universities, film myself debating kids, and if they say something stupid or I make them look daft, then I'll just clip that up and then I'll put that out on my YouTube channel or whatever, and everyone will think I'm a really good debater. Hello, sorry, buffering, 1, 2, 3. Sorry about that. I was just reading Andrew Ray's comment saying one lady at Kirk's debate at Oxbridge completely trashed his total performance of lies and deceit. That's true. Kirk has the advantage of being a hate dealer. I've read that one. Then you get the tankies copy and pasting from predictable lists. That's true. Gallifreyan then said, right, got my breath back and enjoyed an icy treat. Off I go again. Prepping a chicken stroganoff for tonight. Very excited. Take care and be kind. Peeps and peepettes. That's very nice of you. Sammy McDonald saw Kirk a new one as well during his time debating with him. Do you remember when that other arsehole, what's his name? You know, that guy who talks like that. Oh, what's his name? Shapiro. Ben Shapiro. Remember when he was on against Andrew Neil? Do you remember this? It's probably like 2019. And Andrew Neil just tore him apart. This is Andrew Neil, the fucking editor of The Spectator. He's as right-wing as fuck. You know, I don't like him, but at least he knows how to take someone to task, and he really fucking did. And it just showed what a shit debater someone like Ben Shapiro is. One Bacon says, one of our main reasons our species have been so successful is because we are so susceptible to diversification, making us a highly adaptable species. But it's a trial and error game, so dead ends are inevitable. Farage et al. Yeah. Ben Shapiro, says Chris C. Yeah, Ben Shapiro. What a gobshite. We've got I'm just seeing if there's any new messages that I missed. Moat. That makes sense. So the Bailey is the castle, and then the moat is the area around it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you. But yeah, if you're challenged, if you challenge on the daft thing that you say, you retreat to the Bailey, retreat. So yeah. Anyway, just want to show you the water today. The water. I slept here last night. I slept here in this hammock. There wasn't a breeze. There's a breeze now. It's quite pleasant. Look at that. Just look at that. There is a wasp. It's only a small one though. Yeah, Colin Baker there saying the icing on the cake was Shapiro calling Neil a liberal. Yeah, I know. That was just mental, wasn't it? Trying to think of the smarmiest actor who could play Piers Morgan. David Walliams. He's problematic anyway, though, isn't he? He's incredibly smarmy. Neil deGrasse Tyson tore into the two idiots on the Trigonometry podcast. Good, because yeah, it's just the debate bros and all that kind of stuff. I really, not only do I not enjoy it, but also it's not helpful. Like if people on the left do it, it's not helpful. It's really not. It doesn't change. Studies have shown it doesn't change anyone's mind. It just, if you've already got those opinions, you're not going to go, oh well, the other guy made a good point. They just think that the libtard was destroyed, capital letters, destroyed by this argument, is destroyed, smashed and all this kind of stuff. One Aggie Pagan, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Waiting on NATO to decide how to respond to Putin. Yes, we are. And Billy Kershaw is waving to Nick and Diff. Yeah, I hope they declare war. I hope they declare war on bloody Russia, the country that hasn't got a navy. You don't have air supremacy over the areas that you say you control in Ukraine. We're just going to bomb the fucking living shit out the front lines. See you later. You got 2 days. You got 24 hours to get the fuck out of Ukraine. That's it. All of you, get the fuck out of Ukraine. You've got 24 hours. All the bombs start coming down. And he says it's kind of unfortunate that Kirk ended as he did. Criticism of him was starting to go mainstream with South Park and others gaining traction. His martyrdom stopped that. Yeah, maybe for a moment, but it's not going to make me think that he was less than a fucking sleazebag. Sean Pertwee, Robert Bathurst, Richard Bathurst, Phil Davis, and Kevin Doyle also star in The Hack. Phil Davis, he couldn't he? He could. I think he could pull off I think he could totally pull off Penis Morgan. Oh dear. Yes. I used to watch modern day debate until I realised it's a waste of time. Says Oliver Brown. Yeah. I used to enjoy back in the day watching. Before he turned into a massive fucking dickhead transphobe. Richard Dawkins debating with creationists and stuff. I thought that was quite fun to watch, because the person on your side of the argument is obviously making the other person look like a dickhead, but at the same time it was kind of like, yeah, I don't know how many minds are being changed by that particular format. Yeah, Dawkins is good sometimes, yeah, but he's a massive fucking transphobe for some reason. What is with people who just get to a certain age and they're like, I went to a private school, so I'm going to become a massive transphobe. So yeah, let's just get back onto Farage for a moment. So we're going to try, transphobes who went to private school. They are seriously talking about making it so that people have to apply for their visa every year after, to stay in the country. They can't just get settled status anymore for anyone who's born in another country. And, let's leave the sort of rhetoric behind for a moment, and this, obviously there to appeal to the knobheads who vote for refuck, but that would have such a demonstrably bad effect on the economy, because people would just leave. Why would you stay? Penis is such a silly name. I present Morgan and Corbyn as evidence, says David. Yes. I wouldn't call my child penis. Oliver says, I don't really like Gervais anymore. Yeah, Gervais turned into a transphobe as well. Didn't need to. I mean, I never really liked him. I remember Ricky Gervais on the, was it called the 11 o'clock show with Daisy Donovan? That's the show that Ali G started on. And then Ali G, Sacha Baron Cohen, got really big and got his own Ali G in the House show. And so they needed someone to replace Ali G. And the comedian they got on to replace Ali G was Ricky Gervais. It was before The Office. I was expecting an easy ride. Boy, he was totally wrong on that front. Excuse me, what? Oliver, that's why I suggested him for Morgan hires. I got what you mean. Trump's eulogy lasted for 45 minutes. Did he talk about his conservatory that he's building on the White House? He seemed very interested in his fucking extension to the White House the other day when someone asked him about Charlie Kirk. I hear your friend got killed 2 days ago. How do you feel about that? You all right? Let me tell you about my extension. What? Okay. Like how a toddler mourns a goldfish. It can be funny sometimes, but I don't agree with a lot of his views. Up here I'm late. I got distracted by cutting sea beams, glittering near the 10 Hauser Gate. Any NATO response will have a perimeter of believing Russia's nukes actually work, so I fear another spineless set of decisions, unfortunately, says one angry pagan. Yeah, there's no way the Russian nukes work. They just don't work anymore. They just don't. Like, look, people might argue and say, but you never know. And it's like, well, it costs a lot of money to maintain nukes, and you've seen the state of their military. You've seen the state of the tanks they've got, and the vehicles they use, and the tires and everything. Just nothing's maintained. Nothing's maintained because it's so corrupt. It's a really, really corrupt system. There was an interesting story I think it was in CNN this morning, and it was about how the economy of America is going to be so negatively impacted by the encroaching authoritarianism of the Trump administration. And the reason why the economy is going to be impacted is because everywhere, at every time, in every place in the world, when places have been democracies, things have improved economically. And when things have been authoritarianism, not only do they take a downward tumble, the effects of that authoritarian regime echo through the economy for years and even decades afterwards. Like, America is so fucked, and I keep saying they're like a cartoon character that's run off the cliff, but hasn't looked down yet, so they haven't fallen. America is in so much trouble. I was reading yesterday about Farmageddon, which is this mad combo of Trump's tariffs, his climate change denialism, the money that farmers were supposed to get through the Biden era sort of Green New Deal, which was called like the fucking infrastructure plan or something because they couldn't call it the Green New Deal, but essentially was going to give these farmers loads of money to do all these things slightly differently. And then Trump said, no, I'm not going to give you that money. I'm going to put tariffs on everything. And so one of the revenge things that the Chinese did, tit for tat, is that they stopped getting their soybeans from America. They started sourcing them from Brazil instead. And that has just destroyed so many farmers in America who may well get bailed out with taxpayers' money, like last time Trump fucked them over. But, Trump fucked them over last time. They all got a bailout, and then they all voted for him again to fuck them over. But this time, the big difference is that Trump doesn't have to stand for election again. Even if he stays president till the rest of his life, which I think he will do, he's never going to have to stand for election again. So he doesn't need the farmers. He doesn't need the Latinos for Trump. He doesn't need any of these idiots who voted for him, believing that the leopards would not eat their faces. So yeah. The ballroom is going to be called the Lolita Ballroom. That would not surprise me. You would need to put it on 4 times play speed. What an endurance test. What is that? What is that? What is that? What's that? What's that? Much I'm willing to take on for the team. There's 0 chance of me sitting through 45 minutes of bullshit. Well, thank you for being here. And Jimmy Kimmel said Trump's at the 4th stage of grieving construction. Yeah, let me tell you about my ballroom. If a real shit is needed for playing Piers Morgan, then maybe Lawrence Fox. Scott, I made that joke earlier. You can't just make my own joke back at me. But thank you anyway. We can always get Jeremy Clarkson to play Piers Morgan on the same idea. That's from Chris. Martin saying, I'm cutting beams to the floor of a teen ballroom, more of a gaming movie teen hangout for our elders so he doesn't keep us awake. Nick and Diff says, there really isn't. Watched Trump versus Truth the other day, and that was painful watching. Laughable at times, but just utterly mind-numbing. Unreal how stupid people are. Unfathomable. Some nerve Americans saying we don't have free speech. I know. And you're like, oh, so Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. Right. If you say so. But what does probably need the large constructions, one of which is Monsanto. There are some American commentators who have started to think Trump will prevent the midterms and possibly the 2028 elections. I've been saying that for a year, mate. I've been saying that since the election. Like, I do believe that's what he's going to do. He's just going to call a national emergency. And people are going to go, he can't do that. Oh, he just did. Which is the thing that they say about Trump all the time. They go, he can't do that. And then they go, oh, he just did. He just did. So, just a bit of island news now in the mid part of the show. We'll talk about the island for a moment. I have been, we didn't get much done yesterday. I actually went around the island with a big plastic bag and I picked my way through the mangrove roots and picked up all of the trash that washes in from the town up here. So, found a load of plastic bottles. There was one glass bottle of Abuelo rum that managed to float all the way over here. Someone left the lid on. Loads of bits of plastic, a crock. There's always a crock, and yeah, all this shit that just washes up because people in the town, tourists mainly, just don't really give a shit and they just throw stuff in the water. I've been sitting out there on one of the bars and stuff, sitting out on the water, on a deck over the water. And been sitting next to people and they've been smoking and they're just throwing the cigarette into the water. When they're finished with it, just threw it in the water. I mean, that's just as bad as throwing a cigarette on the ground when you're in a city because it is just going to go out to the sea, you know. That's not going to get treated. It's not going to get like collected and recycled. It's just going to go out through the drains into the water systems and out into the sea. But like throwing it directly into the water a couple of miles away from where endangered leatherback turtles lay their fucking eggs. And you're putting something that's like a dog end is like completely fucking indestructible. It just lives in the ocean forever. Yeah, great, cool. Thanks for that. Bloody smokers. So I found that a bit upsetting. Found that away. Crockers in shoe, I hope. Yes, crockers in shoe. Fiberglass. Yeah. Is that what it's made out of? Is that what the cigarette butts are made out of? Fiberglass. Wouldn't surprise me. That's why I'm trying to prove some blue cities. He's trying to prove some blue. I don't understand. Sorry. Yeah, it's why he's trying to. He's trying to get the army in, isn't he? Paula says, read Jimmy Kimmel. My 5p says he'll be back on with a higher salary and more editorial freedom within a month. I don't know. Is it going to be worth it for Disney to be? I mean, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they keep rid of him, they don't let him back on, then they're going to face the wrath of the Trump administration, who run the FCC, who, once again, the President of the United States is in control of just too many things. It is fucking ridiculous to have one disgusting, fat, fucking Jabba the Hutt, orange, Tango tyrant, Benito motherfucker in charge of all of this stuff. The FCC, he's in charge of the Board of Education or whatever they call it over there. He's in charge of the Coast Guard, the Homeland Security, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force. He's in charge of the FBI. He's in charge of the CIA. It's just fucking bonkers that one person can be in charge of all of these different things and can therefore use these things to fuck anyone who gets in his way. He's running the country like a mob boss, it's just like the Sicilian mafia all over again. And one of the big problems they've had in Sicily is that every single infrastructure project that was built in the 20th century had the Sicilian mafia stealing money out of it, and it wasn't done properly. And they're having to replace a bunch of infrastructure in Sicily, and they have been doing this for years now. It's an ongoing project because they weren't fucking built properly in the first place because they didn't give a shit about, I don't know, bridges not falling down. They were just trying to make money because they were gangsters. That's what gangsters do. Sorry if you're getting a bit of wind on the microphone there, let me know if we are. Looks like South Sudan is going into another civil war, largely exacerbated by its northern neighbours. Own one, Darfur needs talking about too. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's such a shame. South Sudan, the world's nearest country, split away from Sudan. Oh, finally! Oh, here he is. Hello, is Ishmael. He's gonna love me filming him. Alright. Hola. Okay, so yeah, was it gonna talk a little bit about Island news? Island news? Oh yeah, so I'll just tell you what I'm gonna be doing for the next couple of days. I've got to go to Panama City to meet up with my lawyer and do a bunch of paperwork shit for the island. Part of which includes getting residency here in Panama, which I don't want, but you know, I've got to apply for it anyway, so I'm going to get it. So I don't want it, I need it. So yeah, that will make it so that I can get a bank account here, which will be good in a way because it means I can take money out from the cash machine. It'll only charge me $2 and I'll be able to take $500 out at a time instead of the current situation where you can only take $250 out and it charges you $6.80, which is a ridiculous amount to charge every time you take money out. Like if you take out $20, it will charge you $6.80. If you take out $5, it will charge you $6.80 to take out $5. Yeah, I know, crazy. So that'll be good. So what that means is the first flight out of here tomorrow, out of Bocas del Toro, doesn't leave till like midday, and it's always late. So I'm not relying on that to get there. I'm going to go today, and I am going to get the overnight coach. So I'm going to be sleeping on a coach tonight on my way to Panama City. And then tomorrow morning, I will be in Panama City. I will try and do a very quick brew in the morning. I don't know what I'm going to call it before I meet up with my lawyer and start signing lots and lots of paperwork. Apparently, I have 35 separate documents that I have to sign tomorrow. They don't make it easy. They don't like it up. And then what I'm planning to do, so depending on how long it takes me to get all that shit done, I will go to the airport in the afternoon. There's a 5 o'clock flight and see if I can get a ticket on that. If it's full, then it will be another overnight bus because the bus takes 11.5 hours. It'll be another overnight bus back to here, Bocas del Toro, and I'll be arriving very early on Wednesday morning. I'll get the boat over to Bocas, so I'll be doing the morning brew very early in the morning, possibly on my laptop. So you might get some animations. You might, when it says super chat, it'll come up on the screen. And so yeah, that's my next couple of days. I'm not going to be here, but Ishmael's on the island now, so poor old Pickle won't get lonely, which is good. Christy says apparently several cast members of the Avengers franchise are quitting protest to Camel's sacking. Wow. Boat ahoy. You would hope so, but because it doesn't directly affect the West, it won't be talked about. Yeah. To be honest, I think daily show hosts on the US TV are really quite boring, but the US citizens seem to like them. It's all contrived stuff written by teams of writers and always the same. I kind of agree with you. It's this format, and I don't really like it that much, where they'll stand up. I much prefer John Oliver because he just reads them an auto cue and the jokes are all there, whatever. But there's a format to these live shows, the late night shows, where the comedian will be like, here's the thing that happened. And then they'll show like a little clip of the thing that happened. And then they'll have like a witty one-liner about it, like a little bit of a joke, a little bit of a cutting thing about whatever it is. and yeah, I don't watch it myself. I'm not really that into it. It does feel a bit samey, so I'm kind of with Scott on this. It does tend to feel a bit samey, Off to a much bigger, shiny new boat next month for my 60th. Oh, that sounds cool, Mr. Peacock. What's on his boat? Just check Disney stocks. It is getting hit. Yeah. Damned if they do, damned if they don't. Flying from Liverpool, and we'll be getting the 89 bus home free on my bus pass, says David. Oh, it's all right for some, isn't it? Oh, we got a £2 super chat from Martin, just to see your carving skills. Oh yes, well we're gonna have the super chat thing. I'm only gonna be able to use that twice when I finally fucking get it done. I was supposed to make that yesterday, but Ishmael wasn't here, and as a result of Ishmael not being here, I couldn't get the generator started that I needed to run the fucking router, because I can't run the router, whatever. I can't run it off the solar panels, off the solar batteries, because they haven't got enough in them to run a power tool like that. Yeah, so that wasn't great. I never actually watched the Jimmy Kimmel show. I love Jon Stewart. Yeah, I think Jon Stewart's the same though. You know, and this is just me. This is my opinion. I think he's really good, but it is a very much set up. You know, government person said this thing, and then punchline, and it does get a bit samey after a while. I think, I don't know. Everyone is different. Understand why people don't like the format, but I find them quite fun. Says Nick Indiff. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I like John Oliver, which is quite similar, but it's a bit different. Maybe it's the fact that he's actually just sitting down behind the desk rather than standing up and talking to the audience like it's a stand-up show. I don't know. Do you know what else I don't like? The band. I don't like the band. I don't like it when they tell a joke and they go bum bum bum. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite bolshy like that. I don't like being told when to laugh. I don't want to be told when something is funny or when something's. And yeah, something about it just feels a little bit sort of old-fashioned about that. And I love live music. And if it was just all things being equal, and a band came on and did a song, right? So you get Wolf Alice or someone to come on and they'll do a song, and everyone goes, yeah, that's great. And then they talk about, you do an interview. That stuff's all fine, but when they come out at the beginning of the show and they stand there and they talk to the audience and then they sort of have this interaction with it just all feels a bit, I don't know, not my cup of tea. I don't want to, because I know it's some people's cup of tea and they really enjoy it, so I don't want to diss it, like say, oh my god, how dare you like this shit, which I will about Mrs. Brown's Boys, because I actually get offended that people think that's funny, because it's so unfunny, but I can see why people enjoy watching late night shows, but none of this has got anything to do with the fact that Jimmy Kimmel got fucking cancelled, and so did Colbert got cancelled for like nothing. Plum, is that the Plum? Hires. Is it Plum Duff? South Park has been rescheduled for Thursday on Comedy Central. Fingers crossed. Ooh, hope they go to town. Hope they go absolutely to town. Hi, Scott. Yes, mate. I was going to call myself. It ain't half hot plum, but forgot the hot bit. Why change the plum? Just to win. And then Rolf Harris. No, what is he dead? I thought he died ages ago. It's saying Rolf Harris. They are very much made for American audiences, but the insight is more liberal attitudes in the USA. A funny bite-sized way. Yeah, Nick and Diff.